"You're a disgrace to this family," her father thundered, the veins on his neck bulging as his fist slammed against the polished mahogany table. Emily flinched, her eyes glistening with tears she refused to let fall. Her mother stood silent in the corner, arms folded, shame written all over her face, while her brothers stared at her like she was filth. Just 2 weeks ago, she was the family jewel, engaged to the son of a wealthy CEO, the wedding already the talk of the town. But everything shattered when the groom abruptly broke it off, spreading rumors that Emily had begged him to stay. Her family didn't ask for the truth, they just turned cold. Banished from her home with nothing but a suitcase and shattered pride, Emily wandered the streets of the city she used to rule with elegance. Her designer heels now pinched her feet with every painful step. It was in a quiet alley that she found refuge, a little bookstore called Chapters of Time. It was dusty, quiet, and smelled like old paper and forgotten dreams. There, behind the counter, stood Daniel. He wasn't particularly handsome or flashy, just a man with kind eyes who noticed her trembling hands and offered her a glass of water before asking questions. She started working there part-time, mostly to survive. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel never once asked about her past. Instead, he made her laugh, brought her coffee with too much cream, and listened when her voice cracked while reading poetry aloud. He lived modestly, wore the same old flannel shirts, and talked about books like they were people. She found peace in his simplicity, and before she knew it, her broken heart started to mend in the quiet rhythm of their daily routines. When Daniel proposed, it wasn't with a diamond ring or grand gesture. It was with a note slipped inside a book she was shelving. "Let's write our next chapter together." Her heart said yes before her mouth did. But when her family found out, their reaction was vicious. "You're marrying a nobody, a poor man with no future? After everything we gave you?" Her father's voice rang in her ears like a curse. They severed ties without a second thought. Emily walked away from her past and into a future with Daniel, into a tiny apartment above the bookstore, into days of tight budgets, thrift store clothes, and second-hand furniture. Yet she was happy. Daniel treated her like a queen. He kissed her forehead every morning and thanked her for every meal, even when it was just grilled cheese and tomato soup. She stopped missing chandeliers and started cherishing candlelight. They read together at night, built dreams over pillow talk, and laughed louder than they ever cried. It wasn't luxury, but it was love, pure, patient, and real. Then one rainy afternoon, while cleaning the back room of the bookstore, Emily found an old leather briefcase tucked behind a dusty stack of encyclopedias. It wasn't locked. Inside were documents, bank statements, investment portfolios, property deeds, all with Daniel's name on them. Her heart raced. She read and reread the papers, unable to believe her eyes. Daniel was not poor. He was wealthy, more than wealthy. He owned the building they lived in, the bookstore, and several businesses across the city. Her hands shook as she clutched the papers, her mind spiraling with questions. That night, when he came home, soaked from the rain, she stood in the kitchen holding the briefcase. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, voice trembling. Daniel froze, his expression unreadable. Then, with a deep sigh, he stepped forward and said, "Because I needed to know if someone would love me for me. Not for the money, not for the name, not for the empire. Just me." His eyes, always honest, didn't waver. "I've seen too many people wear masks for wealth. I couldn't live like that. Not again." Emily stared at him, the weight of his truth settling in. He had tested her love, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. And she had passed without even knowing it. Her tears returned, but this time they were of relief. She embraced him, and they stood there, drenched and raw, hearts fully open for the first time. Word of Daniel's true identity spread fast. The same family who disowned her came knocking, excuses ready, apologies rehearsed. Her father, once so proud and cruel, stood with his head bowed. "We made a mistake," he said quietly. "Please come back." Emily looked at Daniel, who simply nodded, and with a steady voice she said, "I never left the right path. You did." But she forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because she didn't want bitterness in her heart. The reunion was tearful, humbling, and complete. The woman once abandoned and disgraced now stood beside a man who chose love over luxury, who disguised his wealth to protect his soul. And she, who chose heart over status, became the queen of a kingdom built not of gold, but of trust. So real love tests us when we least expect it. And when we choose it over pride, over wealth, and over fear, that's when life rewards us with something truly priceless. Before we end the story, let us know in the comment where are you watching from. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.